How to Create a Glitch Monologues Season 18 Chapter 3. This is Season 18 of How to Create a Glitch in the Matrix Monologues Episode 3. In this episode, we will be talking about forms of consensuality and uncoupled femininity. In the last episode, we talked about the different ways that non-consensuality can develop. We also talked briefly about a form of consensuality. In this episode, I would like to elaborate a few unique forms of consensuality. First of all, consensual realities can be understood as realities which match or confirm the expectations of the participant. Such realities can exist pursuant to commonly accepted archetypes of typical presentation. For example, an commonly held archetype can generate common understanding about what is expected. This can be accomplished through narrative, or simply an appeal to a common archetype. Thus, narrative structures such as allegory, metaphor or coded language provide examples of situations which are comprehensible to both participants due to a common archetype, create an archetypal consensuality. These are typically words used in that context, taken out of that context by those possessing the archetype to create commonly intelligible meaning to those also familiar with the context. For example, one individual may use an example of their cultural background to another with the same background to express a common understanding with concomitant expectations. Or, one may use language which is coded, by that I mean, meaningful only to those who have participated in the context where that word is ordinarily used, to do the same thing. This may be a metaphorical term, i.e. diamond hands, for any investors. Thus, archetypal consensuality is often displaced consensuality, in that, it establishes a consensual reality which is dislocated from its source context. Now, this is not to be confused with consensual multi-contextuality, which involves the use of allegory, story, or metaphor to create expectations using a commonly understood object. An example of this is the allegory of emptying your cup, as a way of expressing the need to rid yourself of your preconceptions, to make yourself receptive to new knowledge. Consensual multi-contextuality is interesting because it involves the elevation of the listener, and increasing group tension, attention, in their understanding, in a way that is polar to consensual decontextuality, which lowers the tension of the group. Thus, different forms of consensuality produce different effects on group tension. Not all exchange is conversational, some is purposeful, and compels the attention of the listeners according to some expectation. Now, in past episodes, we discussed what I called uncoupled masculinity. It was essentially a form of non-consensuality, in that it generates actions which depose the consensual. But, consensual non-consensuality generates uncoupled femininity. Uncoupled femininity compels compliance with expectations, generating a consensus reality. To understand this in another way, think of consensual non-consensuality as a mechanism for compelling compliance with one's consensuality. Further examples of different forms of consensual and non-consensual reality will be provided in later podcasts. But, the purpose of these episodes is to establish that there are many forms and hues of reality, both consensual and non-consensual, which generate the various patterns that we see. That's the end of the podcast for today. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment and subscribe.